Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show will have a talk about a Linux project, or it could be a desktop environment, application, anything that is Linux tech and open source related is on the table for discussion. Yeah. And I'm Nate, Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, so I had a moment there where the train just totally derailed. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know what it was. But I got Jason, Ben, Jinda, Sean, and Swift. How is everybody?
Excellent.
Doing good.
Fantastic.
Doing awesome.
That's great. I saw a little yellow light there for just a moment on my kilobits per second. Well,
pretty good.
fantastic. Well, so glad you're here to join as we have a chat about. It's an open mic night, so pretty much whatever you want to talk about. Doesn't have to be Linux heavy. Can be tangentially related, or whatever. So after the open mic night, we'll do some housekeeping, and then our community free pour. We'll be talking with Ben. Apparently, there's some big news in the Storm OS department. A shakeup, let's say, of what's going on there. So we'll see what's going. We'll get into the juicy gossip, because that's what we do here. We gossip on Linux Saloon. That's not true. We don't do that. No gossip. We just talk. We talk to your face about things, not behind your back, because that would be then we wouldn't be streaming it now, would we? So anyway, before we get to all that, we will. If you haven't done the straw poll yet, make sure you do that. I think Jinna put it there in the stream. Yep, sure.
And it's the first thing I did right all week.
First. Well, that's
Sorry, Nate.
that's actually why I like Mondays. I get to start the whole week over and hopefully not screw up this time. But so first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? Jason, just as you came on, you had a really exciting bit of news, and I'm like, whoa, okay, stop, hold the presses, don't throw a spanner in the works. What is it that you got? You got a new toy, and you've been doing some upgrades to it. What is this toy, and what are those upgrades?
Well, new to me toy. And you can tell this is one of the good old thick boys.
Oh, yeah.
CD-ROM and all that stuff.
What year?
It is a 2011
Okay.
iMac. And I recently did one of the first things I did when I got it from my brother-in-law. Company gave it to him, and he's like, I have no use for this thing.
Okay.
And he's just going to throw it away. And I was like, like what we do with the other show that I join on tomorrow, on Sundays, we do a lot of stuff with retro tech. And so I decided that I did not want to go through the Martin Lowe's thing to upgrade it to the latest version of Mac OS. I decided to put Linux on it, and I swapped out popped off the screen because it's all magnets.
Oh, it is.
And then,
Really?
yep,
That's not.
This is one of the versions that was has a magnet screen.
Really? Well, okay. All right. Now, how does that? I'm sorry. I'm throwing a spanner in the works here. But so how do you have to have some screws first to release it, and then you can pull it off?
So the first thing you got to do is use these bad boys, good old-fashioned suction cups.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
And the suction cups will take off the. Let me get the thing over here. The black. There's like a screen cover over the screen.
Okay.
And this black part will come right off. You pop it, lift it, and then that comes right off. And then you take off 8 screws, 4 on the sides, to get the LCD off. And then that you have to be careful, because this is where the fun part went. Is that there's 4 cables.
Okay.
On the back of the screen connecting to the computer itself, to the boards and stuff. You got the display. What they call the display board, but I don't know what the actual.
It's the
thing is.
like LVDS or something like that. LDVS, LV.
Yeah.
Jinda knows.
Screen cable. Screen cable.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And I had to get those out, put an SSD in it. And I double taped this. Did the double-sided tape. SSD, because it doesn't have a gauge that fits it.
Okay.
An SSD, because it's older version. Once that was done, I had the longest fun time of getting this one itty bitty actual screen cable to go back into its little home.
Is that one of those little latching ones that are really tiny that you use
it's
the?
It's just like almost like a I don't know how the heck to explain it. It's just like a we call that the power to your SSD. We'll just slip right in.
Okay.
But it's so tiny, and I got the meaty grip, and I'm trying
Hmm.
to hold the screen open because I already attached other
Right. Right.
cables, and if I let it go too far, those will pop
Right.
off.
Right. Right.
So it was a pain. It took me that was the longest part of the whole process was getting that screen the screen cable back on. That must have taken me about 45 minutes to finally get that thing back into its home. You
Now,
know,
did you get down on like real close and says, "Why won't you go in your home?" Anything like that? No.
oh, I did all kinds of swearing and cussing at it,
Oh, okay.
and
You know,
you
I
know,
I read someplace that if you swear at technology, now this is why mechanics swear a lot, then they tend to cooperate more.
not always apparently. But so I finally got that in there, and then here's the fun part. I got it all put back together.
Mm-hmm.
Then I heard a clunk. So I think the SSD fell down off the where I put it. It's like it's an SSD. It's fun. It doesn't have any movable parts. It's 100% plastic. It's not gonna hurt anything. It'll just sit there in this little slot that it's sitting in because it's like an indention.
Right.
So I don't think it fell all the way down. But it's obviously it's working.
Mm-hmm. I like that
I'm not
look
on a
of them.
Mac. I'm not on a Mac, mister. I like them apples. Steve says he can barely hear me. But
Oh, I guess you got to turn it up
but
a little bit.
but anywho,
Oh, there we go.
yeah, I turned up that on my headset itself too.
So Steve, that's
But
my fault. I didn't do an. I heard him just fine, and I didn't look at the meters, so it's my fault, Steve. It's not his.
but anywho, so next thing I did is I figured I'd install Linux on it because
Okay.
I'm not going to try to leave an outdated version of Mac OS on there and connect it to the internet. So I decided in this particular Linux machine, I put MX Linux on there.
Oh, nice.
Got all updated, got downloaded, certain things, blah blah blah, and then I got my other Linux machines. I've got 4 Linux laptops, and 2 in the front of the cat. You can see another Mac
Mm-hmm.
and another PC, and then there's another PC back there. All 3 of those, all 7 of those machines run Linux, and then there's my server, which is the big one,
Okay.
and then the one that you see the blue right there, the cat's. That's my main machine.
Oh, okay. Do you normally stream from the other side?
No, I used to stream facing this way, and then you
Okay.
can see my bed. But I moved things around so that gives me a little bit more space backwards, so to speak.
Okay.
Because it's just the way it's set up. I have all the desktops way over there now instead of like right here beside me, so it's blowing heat on me and stuff. And it's still like 77 degrees in my room because it's Florida.
Right.
It's
Right.
like 90-something degrees outside. But yeah, so that was my project for today. I got that all taken care of, and then I got the extra long 20-foot HDMI to display port cables to move everything back there because my main 2 monitors and my only have HDMI ports on, so I had to get, but I only have one HDMI port on my graphics card.
What kind of graphics card is it?
It's an old school, good old fashioned 1080.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my server has a 1080 Ti in it, and I was like, because that used to be my main system
Mhm.
until I upgraded. But I don't need any fancy. I don't game or anything, so I don't really do anything that requires like a fancy card like my brother has the. I think he has a 3090. I think 4090. One of those two. I don't remember. Little more than I'm willing to spend on a graphics card for occasionally playing World of Warcraft.
That's very cool. Do you play World of Warcraft very often?
No, not very often. Every once in a while I get bored and primarily what I do is Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay.
So I build commander decks mostly when I have in my free time or I read.
Gotcha. Sorry, I totally sidetracked from the subject, which was your
Yep.
Mac. Now,
Yeah,
what?
but, not bad for a free machine.
So, what does it have? An Intel what? Is it
It's
2011?
an Intel 7, i7 2600.
So
8
second
core,
generation.
Yep, 3.8 or something like that.
Okay.
16 gigs of RAM, and it had spinny. It had a 2 terabyte spinny drive.
Okay.
It has a AMD, some sort of AMD graphics card in them. This is easy enough to figure that out. Let's go Neo. And it's a ATI 6970. So I mean, yeah, it's not gonna win any speed awards. Um, and I mean, just night and day when I took out that spinny drive, put the SSD in there, the heat level dropped by 20 degrees,
Oh
and
wow.
then and then the fan wasn't like it was taking off, and then speed was obviously boots a
Mhm.
heck
Oh
of a
yeah,
lot faster.
for sure. Yeah, I have a system. It's a Dell. I use in my kitchen. It's like a touch screen all in one. Real nice machine. Has a VESA mount on it. I think one of the last ones I used VESA mounts. It's got a fourth generation. No, it's got so it's actually called a Pentium because it's I think it's like the low end. It's like you can't get any lower end of the fourth generation Intel machines. It's one of those. And I could put a faster CPU in there if I felt like it, but actually maybe I
Yeah.
should. I think I have one lying around. Anyway, because used to the laptop, I believe, laptop
Yep.
style. So
I've got
the
upgraded CPUs for the Mac Pro back there,
uh
2009 Mac Pro. They're upstairs. Maybe another project I'll do one of these days is actually install those.
that's fun. The but that wasn't so bad to take. It's just like a bunch of clips in the back yet to peel it back the back cover, and that was put an SSD in there like made it night and day. Like once you put an SSD in there, it felt like a fast machine. It still does. I think I've had an SSD in there for going on 5 years now. Maybe what year is it? Maybe 4 or 5 years at this point. I could look it up. It's on cubiclenate.com. But anyway, yeah, very cool. So what you're saying is on that Mac, although pretty, is a pain to do simple upgrades on.
Yeah, well, only because they have to take off those little tiny cables.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to do it without removing the cables, and I was like, no, I can't do it because the screen kept coming back when I was trying to reach in, and I didn't want to rip the cables out, so I ended up just popping them off. But yeah, so I definitely it's something that you got to prepare yourself for a little time consuming, unless you got smaller hands than I do. I got meat hooks here, and trying to get down in there and get that little cable between the fingers and being able to actually see what you're doing. And at one point in time, I think I bent one of the pins trying to get in there, so I had to take the tweezers and fix that, and then finally got it in there.
Yeah, I think that makes it. I think if it wasn't so difficult to mess with like that, I mean,
Well,
yeah,
that's Apple for you.
Yeah.
Apple is notorious for not allowing you to do any upgrades and stuff on their devices that make it they make it so aggravating to do it.
yeah,
I mean, like you take a Mac Mini, for example. If you wanted to upgrade not the M1s because they're even worse, but just one of the older Mac Minis, like my brother's 2014 Mac Mini, you have to take out 100 screws
that's a
just
lot
to
of
be able to
screws.
get into there to do something. Hey, Bob. Yes, buddy. I know you want to be on camera.
That's
It's
that's
okay.
Bob.
Yep, this is Bob. He's my Manx cat. He has, as you can see, no tail.
Oh boy, like a bobcat.
Yep, he's hence Bob. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of my 10-year-olds, one of my old cats, one of the OGs.
Well,
Yeah,
cool.
you're thinking about laying on my keyboard, aren't you? You pain in the butt.
Of course he is. He's gonna type with his tail. Well,
Apple
excellent.
solved that problem by soldering everything in. Yeah, right, Adam. Oh yeah, they made it so you can't upgrade it all.
Yeah.
That's what they did. That's why I love that Mac Pro back there. It's a classic Mac Pro, it's a CMP 2009, so it's even older than this thing, and it is running Linux Mint. But it's like it's just like a regular desktop. You just the whole tray slides out.
Hmm.
So if I was gonna do the upgrade for the CPUs of that, I just take off the ginormous heat sinks, put them in, put the heat sinks back on, and slide it back in. That's it.
I think one of the neatest computers, like desktop style computers I ever worked on, is actually these old Unix workstations. They don't have cables everywhere. Everything kind of plugs in, so everything's like modules. And to me, that is such a neat design. Like, so these desktops don't have these. Now, I mean, there's good and bad, obviously, with it, but the good is, it's really easy to like swap drives, upgrade, do simple things as long as you're not changing anything that's structurally, part of its
Right.
core bit. So anyway, I think didn't Apple have some desktops that were like that at one time, where they were cableless, so they were modules essentially.
It's basically the classic Mac Pro over there.
Okay.
Like I said, everything just slides out. And the only thing you have to connect the cable to is like if you swap out the graphics card that came with it and put in a more modern one, then you have to change out the power cables and stuff like that. But other than that, it's just slide in, slide out.
Now, I see Sean, he offered up some graphics card comments here. Says, the current graphics card on my desktop is an RX 580, 8 gigabyte. I think that's what I have in my server right now. What do you mean impressive by modern standards?
Well, just it doesn't have ray tracing. It only has 8 gigabytes of memory. I mean, come on, that's a dinosaur, right? You know.
I mean, it depends on the size of your screen, I would think. It's not so much.
Well,
Depends on what you're doing with
it's
it.
for my screens are still 1080p. I don't have anything higher than that. Don't see a real big need for it.
Nope.
So yeah, I mean, for pushing that amount of pixels, it's fine.
Yeah, for what we do with our in our lives, so to speak. You don't need anything. The big fancy 49-inch, 240 megahertz, refresh rate, yada yada yada. The this, that, and the other thing, ball and wax. $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 monitor. I'm using $100 1080p 24-inch monitors by Asus, and they get the job done. I can see you guys. I can see my other screens. I got like the stream open and the chats, and then yada yada yada. And then these are the original. When I first built that computer back then, when it was original, these are the 1080p monitors I got. They're the AOCs, and I think these are like $250 back in the day, and they're just whatever. They're 27 inches. They're still running, and then I've had them since 2014, so 10 years.
It's a long time. Not bad.
Yeah, it's working.
So I wanted to. I was curious now because of what Sean just said. How much video RAM is needed for 4K? So according to whatever the Google's AI search bot thing, it says 12 gigabytes is recommended minimum amount of VRAM for 4K gaming, especially with high refresh rates. However, some say 8 gigabytes is the minimum these days, as AAA games are coded for it.
It depends on like you said, it depends on the refresh rate. Now, if you're going to go for 4K at let's say 30 frames per second, like 30 hertz or whatever, you probably can go with 8. If you're going to do the 60, you probably may still be able to go with 8, but I'd probably recommend to go a little bit higher. And if you're going to go, super fancy, and do like the 120, 100, I don't even know if you can do that with 4K. I don't know what the highest refresh rate is for a 4K nowadays. I think it's still, as far as I know, it's still 60, but I don't know. The good old-fashioned 1080s, like the 1080 Ti, I believe that has 11 gigabytes of VRAM. So even for an old card, it still kicks butt. And White Chocolate said that overpriced Apple products. Well, you can't beat free.
This is true.
In my case, for all my Apple products, everything that as far as the laptop, the desktop, the Mac Mini, and this iMac, the total cost was $400 for all of them. Because I bought the iMac, I bought the classic Mac Pro, and 2 monitors for $200, and then I got the MacBook Pro. That's right there for off a friend for $200.
So Adam, Steve Raymond says, I hear from a friend how great the Apple M3 is. Yes, I would say it is very great. The downside is apparently there's some. I've been reading quite a bit about some of the flaws in the silicon, so that might be bringing down some of the performance. And it looks like except for the GPU side, it looks like what AMD and Intel are working on right now, that gap is going to be closing probably fairly soon. So, but yeah, anytime you get a new computer, it can be an Apple, it can be a framework, it can be, whatever. I think new hardware is always great. So if someone's excited about their M3, be excited about your M3.
Well,
That's
they
what I
did
think.
announce the M4 already. On the little Apple event they had for the iPads, the new iPad Pro is going to be running off the M4.
Well, that's cool.
Because it has the OLED screen.
And then Adam, he follows up with that saying, I often feel like having good hardware is somehow a bad thing on the internet. How is that a bad thing? Did someone? Is that a held belief? Is it a bad thing to have good hardware? I don't know.
Well,
Lots of dismissal of high-end stuff kind of makes us those who have not. Yeah, so I think. No, don't get me wrong, Adam. I love my old stuff, and I like to keep it running as long as possible. I got my old Jalopy Dodge Omni worth of hardware that I keep running, The doors have fallen off, but I keep putting them back on. Yeah, But it's kind of like, but like I have my new, 13 Gen framework, and it's been tons of fun as well. So I think there's room for both having fun with new and old hardware. So that's my opinion.
Well, it's going to be depending on what community you're in. If you get this community and the other stream that we go on, that you join here and there, and I join there and here and there for the Apple Tech stuff, vintage Apple Tech. These two communities, we tolerate a lot of, we have love for technology. It doesn't matter how fancy it is or how old it is. Then you get some communities where you get like what Adam's saying, you get some people that are, well, you go to some forums. I've been to some like PC Master Race type places, and if you don't have the top of the line, gizmos, yeah, sometimes you get a little frowned upon because why are you running this and not having the 49-inch ultra wide super fancy, whatever, because I don't need it. I don't need to spend $2,000 on something I don't need.
Yeah. So I think
it's all a matter of perspective.
Adam Grubb says, haha, the man said Dodge Omni. So I apologize if I should have said Plymouth Horizon. That may be more appropriate for some people. So I want to be, I want to bring the feeling that everyone can talk about their Reliant K cars or whatever else. Whatever.
Throwing the Gremlin while you're at it.
Or what what was the other one? AMC.
Pacer. You're going to need a Pacer.
Pacer. But there was another one too. What did Ford have?
Hornet?
The Pinto. The Pinto.
Oh,
Pinto, yep.
Oh, that was a pile of crap.
Oh, my friend in high school went back in high school days. My friend had a Pinto.
Those things were junk. The Omni actually would go.
Oh gosh. But anywho,
I like, speaking of like, this machine here was great until it just wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
And then what you do is you put Linux on it. And
No, this one just stopped.
Oh, it stopped. Does it not turn on?
Nope. The light comes on, shuts back off. No warrant. Yeah.
Is it a removable battery or no?
Yep. No, I've done everything. I even removed the CMOS battery. I even shorted things out to to basically clear out the CMOS. We talked about last week. Yeah, it was.
Did you replace the battery though? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
not the CMOS battery, the actual laptop battery.
I even took the battery out. Just ran it, whatever.
Ran it without the battery.
Yeah, because I had to do that with, the fire laptop, as I call it, the laptop that went through our house fire.
Okay.
Got sprayed down by the firefighters and still works. It was on too. It was on too when it got sprayed down.
Really?
I picked it up and I opened up the lid and it turned on. Showed the Windows desktop. I quickly held down the power button, shut it down, and just set it out in the sun, and it still works. I just popped it open.
Fantastic.
It and, man.
All right, so then now we have Steve's very own. He's trolling. Says, "Hey, at least Linux users will be able to use Asahi Linux and enjoy the lesser experience." So
I have no idea what Asahi Linux is.
So Asahi is built for the new Apple Silicon. A lot of effort there, and surprisingly, Apple's not. They've actually been very cooperative with the Apple with Apple, and the Asahi has found bugs in their like updating firmware system, whatever it does their immutable desktop, and so 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 Asahi Linux has actually been helping to improve the Mac experience as well. But I know that Steve's very just trolling, because I don't know, he's not getting under my skin. I don't care. Like what you like. I mean I won't buy Apple. Although I think sometimes I wonder if like Apple's maybe turning the corner a little bit, and then they release this ad where they're crushing everything good and saying, hey, look at our iPad. New iPad. So
yeah.
I did have to comment on Twix on that one, basically saying, that's good job being you, Apple, basically, is what I said.
Yep. But basically, let's see here. As far as somebody there, Heather says that Apple phones are really expensive. I don't know if I'll be able to upgrade next year. You don't really have to update. The only time you need to update your iPhone, as far as actually swap out the phone to a different model, like a newer model, not necessarily the latest and greatest, is when you're no longer getting the security updates. Once you're no longer getting the security updates, then I would be time to move on and you know, get a different model.
There's another reason too. So, I'm the IT manager where at this plant, and so there's a lot of people that we have company issued phones, and so we have options. You can do an Apple, or you can do Pixel or Samsung, whatever. So anyway, I chose a Pixel, and I'm very happy with it. Mostly happy with it. Sometimes it loses its DNS routing table. Like I have to turn off, go put it on airplane mode and back again for it to be able to access the interwebs. But anyway, so the most common problem that I have with iPhones right now is the batteries. They all of a sudden they stop holding a charge, and they rapidly just drop off. And so I think probably been like 3 in the last 4 months or so we've had to replace. I think it's about 3, 2 or 3. But I just had another complaint yesterday, I think it was. Someone says, "Hey, how do I get a new phone? Mine isn't holding a charge." I said, "Is it an Apple?" I'm like, "Yeah." Okay. Well, we can fix that. We'll just get another Apple. I mean, company doesn't care. People need phones, and
oh, hey, Biddy.
Yeah, it's actually my boss who asked me one time, like, "Hey, can I get a new phone?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm not gonna tell you no. So
I mean, I still have the same Apple phone. This is the XS Max. This thing is, what is it, about 10 years old now, I think, or something like that. And I have no problem with battery life. But that is all dependent on what's running on it and all that stuff at the time.
It could be anything. There was an independent journalist that talked about how when they would travel overseas, they knew that they had some sort of a issue with
6 years.
Malware getting on their phone, because all of a sudden it would just go really slow after that. So there's that as well. Who knows? It could be any number of things.
Yep.
So when it gets slow and if we can't fix it, lose the app. So my favorite kind of mac is brought up by Steven Anderson: chicken, mac and cheese, and boiled cabbage dinner time. So that's one of my favorite macs right there.
Mac and cheese.
Yep.
So good.
And then Don actually just says correctly, says, "Folks value different things, including price." That's true. Yep.
And it's not like the Android phones are cattail in the face. It's not like the Android phones are any cheaper than an Apple phone.
No, the higher ones.
Top-of-line
No.
Samsung and
Or
all that kind
Pixel.
of stuff.
Yeah.
I would say that depends. It depends on if you're looking at the used market or not, and how far back you go.
See, if I'm upgrading my phone, I'm typically going to buy new. But I keep my phones like this is a 6-year-old phone, so I looked it up. It's 6 years, not 10. But I don't change. I had
actually picked up a Pixel 3a about 8 or 9 months ago, just to play around with Ubuntu Touch, which didn't work out really well for me. And then I put EOS on it, and it's just been great. I mean, it's up to pretty much the latest version of Android. It's not 14 yet, but it's on 13. And I think the last version of Android that Google supported for it was like Android 11. So.
Yeah, I haven't had an Android phone since I had the Note 3.
But yeah, it kind of depends on, what you do with your phone, how far back you can go, and if you can still get, something that gets software updates to run on it. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I haven't swapped out my phone yet. My brother finally upgraded his phone. He had the iPhone 8. That's how far back how long he kept his, but it stopped updating his. He's a pharmacist, so he needs certain pharmacist applications for referencing and things like that, and it stopped updating those because he got too old. So he decided he didn't decide, he didn't have much choice. It was time for him to update. So he got
the phone decided for him.
He got whatever the latest model is, 14, I think. I don't even remember. He just got the basic model of that.
Okay.
Because him and I, we have so much technology in our house that we don't actually use our phones. that much. Like I have my Mac open right now, so somebody texts me, I can just go to the Mac and text them back.
Yeah, I use the Google Messages. I use that as well. It makes it having that kind of convergence is nice. I can also use the. Oh, I gotta put this. My phone just went ding. Sorry about that.
Speaking of text messages,
Yeah, I just got that was actually a Telegram message. But I didn't want to say white chocolate did say time for a Big Mac, but the B was is lowercase and the M is uppercase, so he probably means the Apple Mac Pro, like with the M2 Ultra. Is that what you're thinking then, white chocolate? That's a $7,800 machine, so you must be a Big Mac roller. That's what I'm thinking. And Steve Anderson says, I just built a new PC for under $500. I call it the humble man's PC. Well, what do you have in that humble man's PC? I'm curious what do you have for CPU, your RAM, and yeah.
Mhm.
See, I like the new as well as the what can I scrape together, because that's what I did with my oldest. We built a PC out of what I scraped together around the old Cubicle Labs. So
Hey, Leo.
Yeah, I saw that on Linux Out Loud.
yeah,
And I don't know if you went over the specs on it. So
I didn't in great detail. It's but it's a Ryzen 7 that's in there, and it actually has, of all the systems that are actively running right now, it does have the most horsepower as far as CPU horsepower. There's an NVIDIA 2060 for the GPU, 32 gigabytes of RAM,
Nice.
1.2 terabytes of storage, and it's some sort of, I think it's a gigabyte motherboard. I think is what it is. And he did most of the work. We put it in an old like a 2006 era compact case, so we took out the guts out of that one,
Sleeper.
and it is missing the little slide on the side. Like I didn't have it, so I just cut.
Okay.
I made out of plexiglass, and then I put some little. I had some screws, some socket head cap screws, and I put those in as the as the
Case
interface.
screws.
Yeah, well, in that case, but it like pops in, it still slides, just like the original
Gotcha.
case is meant to do it. So, yeah, it's good times. And then Leo.
Exactly. Yep.
Leo says also Big Mac, so he's probably in that. Oh, White Chocolate to clarify says McDonald's Big Mac, not Macintosh.
Mm-hmm. And then then Leo says,
well, aren't they
he
about the
dislikes
same
Big
price
Mac.
these days?
Yeah.
They might be, yeah.
Yep.
I think McDonald's has forgotten who they are. Like when you have some change, you're like, I have McDonald's money. Is what you used to say, right? Now it's like, I don't have McDonald's money anymore. So, I know.
And Heather asks if I know where to get an iPhone. If you're looking for a certified refurbished iPhone, you can get them straight from Apple. And then you can get them. I mean, that's where I would trust them, is straight from Apple, because you don't want to buy from somebody you don't know, like off eBay or whatever, because you're more likely to get an activation locked iPhone, which means it's locked to somebody's Apple ID because it was stolen. So
Yeah.
you meant cheap iPhone? That depends on what you consider cheap, I guess. But I mean, still, even Apple. I mean, they do sell their refurbished iPhones at a fairly decent price. And let's see here.
So
He
Leo
it's
says he always disliked the Big Mac. Too much bread. I can understand that. He says the price is even worse. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Then Adam says, Leo, they've gone way overboard with the sauce on the Big Mac. It's awful now. I can hear Adam screaming that out. And then Leo, they're having a great conversation about food. The price is even worse, Adam.
Well,
$12 for a Big Mac meal? No thanks. I can go sit down and enjoy it for that price. Yep, it's true.
you can. Yep. And then
Now-
Steve Anderson did mention his specs.
Oh, yes, he did. It's an RX
So-
660, an i3, 10 generation i3. I can't speak right now. i3, a 10100F, and a B560 motherboard, 1 terabyte SSD, antique case, and an EVGA 600 watt gold rated power supply.
And then 16 gigabytes of DDR4 CL16 RAM. He said further down.
Oh, yeah, he did. Sure did. I got that on the screen.
And so yeah, that's I mean for $500. If I remember right, that's what he said he paid. Yep, $500.
That is great.
Yep, that's going to do everything you need it to do. I mean, as long as you're not trying to do 4K gaming. I don't even might even be able to handle that for all I know. I don't know. I do not know anything about 4K gaming.
So I think the PlayStation 5 does 4K gaming, I believe. And I have it on a 4K screen. And honestly, like when you're sitting on the couch, whether it's 4K or 1080p, I can't tell you that I really can tell the difference.
And I
Maybe,
really don't care
yeah,
personally.
I don't
But,
know.
and Leo says he wants links for that machine.
With my eyesight, it's a miracle I can see the screen. So
That's why we have these things, you know.
Yeah.
yeah. I take off my glasses. Like where is everything?
Adam's response: my specs are CPU, motherboard, RAM sticks, GPU, SSD, power supply inside, and a case.
Yeah.
Silly.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yep. But that's the nerdy fun, I think, is that sort of thing. So the
Ooh.
oops. So
Okay.
Jay,
Nice. Sorry.
somewhere here, Jay's Adam says you got to use the app to get those old prices as deals. Yeah. So Adam, I caved, and since you're kind of my trust tree here, I did get the McDonald's app, and I'm not proud of it, but I do use it. Also, you get points, and then you get all these other deals that actually makes McDonald's worth it. So I can go there and eat at a reasonable price if you use the app, pay ahead of time, show up, grab it off the little shelf thing there, and leave. So one, I'm embarrassed I'm telling you that I eat McDonald's, and two, I'm embarrassed that I'm telling you that I have the app and eat at McDonald's. So there's two strikes against me, which doesn't bode well for my Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast bit of my little statement
And since he has the app on his phone, that means he eats there enough that he actually has to have the app.
there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he could have been smart and put the app on a old phone, which is unlinked from everything else.
Yeah, but I'm not smart. I put it on my personal phone, not my work phone. But I also play Pokemon Go, so I mean, basically, I'm a moron. So what can I say? But my computer's safe, I guess.
My computer's safe. Well, there's a plus side, I guess. Your computer's safe.
Leo says the
Yes.
PS5 is 4K upscaled, isn't it? But I agree, Nate. I'm like 15 feet away. Yeah, I think it's like, what's the big deal? Now, if you had like a giant screen, like we're talking like theater size screen, yeah, 4K is going to make a huge
Projector?
difference. Projector, yeah, a huge projector. Then that's gonna be something else.
Yep.
And Steve's very own, I feel like he's on his front porch shouting 4K is overpriced.
You see, like 4K, get off my lawn.
Oh, and then White Chocolate says instead
What was
of
the
giving,
resolution of the IMAX theater?
oh, I don't know. Okay,
That was a big thing back in the day. I'm not sure if it's still around.
IMAX theater?
IMAX theaters, yeah. IMAX, not IMACS.
Oh, IMAX. Oh, the old school wrap around, make you get
Yeah,
seasick
yeah.
and motion sickness and all that good stuff. Gotcha.
12,000
IMAX,
lines of
not IMAX.
horizontal resolution. That's a lot.
That is.
I'd say that's a couple of K.
So a digital IMAX frame has a resolution of approximately 15,360 by 640. So, yeah, that is a lot.
Okay. They definitely had quite a few high-powered graphics cards pushing that systems at the time.
Well, they must have quite a few of systems pushing that at a time. Hey, Chunkins, what are you doing, cat?
And then Adam Grubbs does say, want to know the killer thing about PS5? Every PS5 and nearly every PS4 game works on it. Every time. No proton mess or anti-cheat BS. And you are correct, good sir. But I think where the PS5 has the PS4, and this is just my opinion, it's not the 4K or the faster or whatever, or the fact that it's a giant monster that sits right by your TV. It's almost as big as a TV. It is the fact that those controllers, those PlayStation 5 controllers, those are the cat's pajamas right there. That's the real killer feature, in my opinion. So they have
Very nice.
the PlayStation 5 controller, which one, it works great in Linux too, so you can use it on your PS5 or Linux machine. Probably Mac too and Windows. I don't know, but you can use it as like if you have like a home theater PC setup, which is what I do. I use a PlayStation 5 controller for it. It's my new favorite controller because one, it does feel really good in the hands. It's got like a touchpad on it. And yeah, Adam says the DualSense is amazing. I love it. And it's just a really, like, it's not that expensive. It's no more really expensive than like getting like a 8-bit Do controller, which are also very good controllers. You're talking maybe like a $5-10 difference, especially if you get them on sale. It's about the same. And yeah, those are really good controllers. I have to say I've never been, since the PlayStation 2. This is the first time I've ever really said great things about PlayStation. So anyway, and also though, Adam, I will say the Proton BS, that's getting even better, and I have an article that will talk about that in a little bit. I guess we should probably get into the straw poll. What do you think? Is that a good idea? Now,
sure.
we don't have a wild heiress. He has not appeared. So we're going to have to, I guess I'll wing it. So the straw poll question is, which distro would you recommend if the person in question would do everything by themselves, including, but not limited to, downloading the ISO and installation, and they would not have you for support? So what would you recommend? So if you would like to knock out that straw poll, you can do that real quick. But I'll go over the replies that I got first. I think one on Twix, I did get a reply saying, I want to say it was just something, well, I like saying Twitter better than X, but also I think Twix is more delicious than either. So they said Ubuntu. One of the other replies was, I was one of the others. Linux Mint Debian Edition gets my vote as someone I'm close to installed it on their main PC in a new build with my recommendations. My expectation was to give them support, though, and through the install and maintenance, but it was not the case. So that's really good to know. Linux Mint Debian Edition. I don't know how Fedora got some votes. They are experienced Linux users that have trouble with Anaconda with a laughing emoji, let alone finding all the packages that are not installed by default. The other distros have installed them by default. And then another answer is some ambiguity in the question. My immediate reaction was to answer Arch or Arch-based because of the wealth of documentation, thinking it was implying someone will set out to learn all that they can. I wonder if the question is focused more on a user with little knowledge and little motivation to learn, or having seen this response. And then Eris responded, it's always some ambiguity, otherwise the poll questions would be an essay. This is probably the longest question for a straw poll so far. And so some context from Eris is, I want to know what the community thought was a distro that has good documentation, good support, and ability to bootstrap the experience with the least handholding needed. Is there such a distro? And so on Twix I got also Ubuntu. I think I said that already. All right, so let's check out that straw poll. Let's see what it came down to. Which distro? Show results. I already voted. So in the number one spot, with no surprise for me, with 44% of the votes is Linux Mint. Next is Ubuntu at 17%. I'm rounding these, by the way. Fedora Workstation got 10% of the vote. MX Linux just below, which surprises me just a bit, got 8%. Other also got 8%. Elementary OS got 4. Pop OS got 4. Silverblue with 2. Thank you, Adam, for that one. I'm not sure if he actually voted for that. Zorin OS with 2%, and Tux Penguin got 2% as well.
44%? That's low.
Leo.
I do have to say, Mint is definitely, one of my favorite distros. I do have it on two or three machines back there.
Oh, Leo says Twitter was in the dictionary. What a silly idea to rename it. Yeah, I think there was just some baggage though with Twitter because of some of their scumbaggery that they were doing prior to the Musk purchase. But yeah, I agree. I think Twitter should just left to Twitter, or Twitter that just rebranded with X, or I don't, honestly,
or just not have sold it to whatever his name is there.
Elon Musk. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I like his cars, so he's an interesting feller, I think.
What are you doing, cat?
What? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. I just hope he takes us to Mars. I don't want to go, but I hope people go to Mars. I'm sure it'll be a disaster,
Yep.
at least initially. But you know,
Be Total Recall. Your eyes are popping out of your head.
yeah, I was thinking. I know there's talk about going to the moon first, but I like the idea of being a multi-planetary species as opposed to a single planet.
Rigged results, says white chocolate.
Well, white chocolate. If you know anything about Chicago, you should vote early and vote often.
And just so you know, there it is, right there. Your MX.
See, you got representation of MX Linux right there on the screen. I think, honestly, I don't know why I lean toward Linux Mint, because I was looking at it and I was between Linux Mint, Ubuntu, and MX Linux, and although I did vote Linux Mint, so Leo, just so you're aware. But I think, I don't know, I think maybe it's, I don't know why I don't go MX. I mean, it's so easy to install.
Yeah. It's definitely easy to install. MX is, I just put it on a 2011 iMac today, and you don't get, and it runs beautifully on an old, this old machine, and
It seemed like I wasn't willing.
he's back, but he's muted, just so you try to say anything.
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
Oh no. Now
He's
he's
got
gonna
a
be all
sad
bummed
face.
out for the rest of the show.
That's all the reaction you need right there.
Uh-oh. Did we lose the actual YouTube too?
No, it says it's still streaming, but looks like something
It's frozen on
happened.
my screen.
Says in chat that it's frozen.
Yeah.
I only have the chat window open. I don't have the actual.
Yeah,
feed
I have the
open.
full thing open. It is definitely frozen.
Okay, how about now?
Let me refresh.
It looks like my system recovered from that much better than last time. So, hey, thank you, you Wayland developers, for all the work you're doing to make this just a little bit smoother. I brought up the WP graph
And
Is it? We're moving
Testing.
again? Okay. So my internet dropped out entirely. It seems like this is happening. It's like it didn't happen last week. Maybe I need to reboot my router right before we do this from now on. Oh my goodness. So I know what I was saying before I started saying angry things. I think, speaking of Elon Musk, I'm going to use I think I'm going to get Starlink. So I think it's having great success with it in the corporate for backup. I think it's. I think I should probably going to go with that here because I'm getting tired of this.
What do you have now?
I use satellite uplink. I'm sorry, cellular uplink, and it just drops out from time to time. I was using T-Mobile. It's the same company though, so it's a third party. Now it's going to AT&T. Good company. I like the people. Local business. So Wayland streaming doesn't crash on me, Nate. You're just holding it wrong. So it didn't crash this time, Leo. But 2 weeks ago when it crashed, it didn't really crash entirely, but like Pipewire got all its wires crossed and doing all this kind of weird stuff. So it was just a mess. So, but yes, I agree.
Well, that's not a Wayland problem. That's a Pipewire problem.
Yeah, but it's all interconnected because that wouldn't happen with the X because of the way the X handles crashing versus how Wayland handles crashing of things. Like they're not. It's not not the same. And also, I think a couple weeks ago, I couldn't. Pipewire stopped accepting streams as well, so I couldn't stream it anymore, and it was frozen. And I put I just put an image up there instead. But anyway.
Oh boy.
So yeah, no, we're good though. We're back. All right, so Linux Mint is a winner, and Leo is happy. He's probably dancing or something. I don't know, chair dancing, maybe. I don't know what he's doing, but
He
anyway.
should join the stream and
honestly, I would still put Ubuntu at the top of that list, simply because if you're searching for things online and you type in Linux problem here, Probably the first thing that you'll get is something related to Ubuntu.
Hmm.
Yeah, there you go. And Pam Ina said, I started with Linux Mint in 2011 with no support from others. If Mint hadn't been such a positive experience, I would not have continued with Linux. So that my subjective, sentimental recommendation.
I love it. Yep, I think that's a
Yep.
pretty typical. I think people typically have a good experience with Linux Mint. I think my only like hang up with Linux Mint anymore is their aversion to snaps. That's really my only thing. And maybe that's a silly. I will accept that maybe that's a silly position to have.
Excuse me.
Well,
And when I
aren't they
first started in,
still like? Aren't they still based off an older version of the kernel and Ubuntu?
I don't know. It just had an update. I thought. I don't know what's.
Mhm.
I'm not sure the current. I'm
I
sure
think
Jen will
there's a
find
pending
out.
update. I don't think it's out yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah.
so
Well,
it's kind of like, does the hardware mesh with the software? Yada yada yada. Right. So
I can
so
tell
if you
you
got like,
that I had some when I was installing it Mint on a older laptop once. It was actually the older MacBook, the MacBook Pro I have behind me. I ran into a lot of issues and I ended up having to update. Um, none of the network system, none of the Wi-Fi didn't work, the Ethernet didn't work, and
Hmm.
none of that stuff worked on it. For whatever reason, Mint installation. So I had to connect. Bluetooth worked, which is funny because if I remember correctly on those, the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are
huh,
actually on the same card. And so I had to connect through Bluetooth on my cell phone to to get internet onto that laptop. Slow as molasses internet, but I got the job done. I had to do is ran all the updates, and I ended up having to update the kernel. As soon as I updated the kernel, for whatever version it was, I don't remember the numbers, but um, I went to a newer version of the kernel, then boom, everything worked. So I don't know what was going on with that particular installation of Linux. Maybe I had an older version on a USB and I didn't realize it. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe just something that wasn't enabled on that kernel, the particular kernel.
Yeah, whatever worked, whatever did, it worked. I got it and it's up and running. And yeah, I mean, that's my one, two, I think one of my three Linux Mint machines.
Hmm. Well, I got a question based on that. So, how many machines do you have around you right now?
Who, me?
Yeah. Well, it's an open mic night, so we're gonna go ahead and just go
Oh,
right into that. So, how many machines
well,
do you have around you?
I got the Mac Mini right here, iMac here, then four laptops there, my file server there, my bunch of cable mess I got to clean up
Okay, I lost
from
count
moving
already.
things around today. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 computers.
Okay, 11 computers, and they are all on right now, or is there any that are off?
Uh, the only ones that the three Linux machines, desktops back there are and the laptops are off. The server's on. This is my main machine. iMac is on, and the Mac Mini is on. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 that are on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 4 that are on out of those because the laptops are all sitting right there.
So Leo says 2 Macs, 3 regular PCs, a Steam Deck. Next room over has higher.
Yep. Well, yeah, we still have a computer room upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Our computer room is where we build our computers. All these are other than the Macs are home built. Don't you spill my drink, cat. Um, and between my brother and I mean, I have 11 in my room, and he probably has, roughly the same amount. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 empty, still in boxes, computer cases, so we can build.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
He's
crazy.
yeah, he buys them when he sees them on sale. He just buys them because he likes to buy. He likes to do a lot of retro PC stuff.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Ambrosia? She's
I
a
think.
streamer. She does the cheap PC challenge on her
Oh yeah,
stream.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, he does that, so he gets the like basically build a retro. I think it was like a $50 or $100 retro PC, whatever the heck
Hmm.
it was. The price was, I don't remember. So he and my brother has like 95 Windows 95 machines, 98 machines, XP machines. You know, tinkering with old stuff. His is PC related. I do some of the older Mac stuff. Yada yada yada.
I see White Chocolate's causing out Cruz to get on the Zoom, calling out Cruz to get on the Zoom, but I think maybe White Chocolate should get on the stream, on the Zoom.
I pretty much have 7 machines
7?
in this basically
Okay.
general area. MacBook Pro is what I'm on right now. Right behind me is basically where all the magic of my YouTube channel happens, the main machine. On the other side over here is the gaming rig. Over right beside it on the bottom of the floor over there is a Dell Optiplex 960 that currently has Windows 7 on it.
Ooh, old school.
Vintage.
Well, it's my favorite operating system of all time. I love 10 as well, but with Microsoft cramming ads into Windows 11, I thought, nope, I'm just going to go to Windows
Ads?
7 and stay there.
I've never got an ad in Windows 11.
Well, recently I found a news post that states that Microsoft is going to start cramming ads into the start menu.
There have been instances. Well, in Windows 10, I was getting ads in the in things like and like if my mouse like went over the weather app, like the weather widget, I'd get like ads in that on
Well, I
Windows
turned
10.
I turned all those widgets off anyway, so that's probably why I didn't see it.
Yep. Yep.
I run it basically. I go through the system
Mhm.
files and turn a lot of stuff off.
Yep.
So there is
Yep.
my nephew. He has an image of Windows 11, but it's totally stripped down. Like, it doesn't have Edge, and you
Mhm.
can't install it. It thinks it has Edge in it. I can't remember what it's called, but that's if you strip down Windows 11, like get rid of all the extra just cruft out of
Bloat.
it.
Mm-hmm.
It runs pretty decent. I mean, I don't know for how long it's going to run decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one way, if I ever deal with 11 again, the one way I basically strip it down is I use Chris Titus Tech's when you till to bloat script on it.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, get rid of. I mean, I do that not necessarily during the installation. Basically, what I do is I go in through and, like I said, I go
Mhm.
through a lot of the system files and edit it and change things.
Yep.
Because people say you cannot turn off automatic updates because if you get an update, sometimes they turn back on. And well, you can. You just have to go through the MIS. I can't remember what the name of the extension is, but off the top of my head. But you go in there and configure to turn it off in the
Yep.
system side.
Mhm.
But the Windows 11 is going to be getting. I can't remember. Was it August? I want to say August, September. It's when they're going to be doing the 24H2 or whatever it is.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be the Windows 12, but they're not actually going to make it 12. They're going to keep it Windows 11. They're just going to add, do a lot of changes into it, and they're probably going to make a lot of people upset. Because they're, just like how they changed, like when you right click on your desktop and you go into, you copy paste and all that kind of stuff and whatever, and it's like more options. Why did you even put that more options in there?
Well, in
Yeah.
case you need more options.
Things like that. There are some quality of life changes they did make that I loved. I love the tabs in Explorer,
That's been good.
and I love that they put tabs in Notepad. I don't know if anybody else uses Notepad. I use it for an editor, for like if I'm doing doing some HTML coding, or whatever that kind of stuff. I use that as
Mhm.
straight editor. And the tab thing, oh, I just love tabs because you can keep things open. You don't have to close it down
Mhm.
and open another instance. Yeah, for me,
Yep.
that was what I got.
Yep. The other, I forgot to mention 2 other computers. They're right up there on the shelf. One is an HP laptop that a long time ago I converted into a Chromebook. It's running Chrome OS Flex on it, and it's great. The other laptop that's up there is a second ThinkPad. It's a smaller one. It was in a education environment. But Right now, the OS that I have running on it, which I've been testing over the last few weeks, is a Ubuntu 24.04 LTS.
Sweet.
And
How do you like Ubuntu?
it's amazing. Lightweight. I'm not having a single issue whatsoever. And plus, the one reason why I like it is out of all the Ubuntu flavors, it's the only one that doesn't have all snap packages. The only snap package that's in this one is the snap version of Firefox, but the way I got around that is by just installing my favorite web browser of all time, Vivaldi web browser. Problem solved.
Yeah, I'm curious though. What is the dislike for snaps in that? I'm just. It seems like snaps and Flatpak are a great solution for making Linux more sustainable in the long term. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure the aversion to. I mean, I guess maybe I kind of understand it.
I think the aversion to snaps came from when Firefox was first bundled as a snap on Ubuntu,
Okay.
and it was slow to launch. And people were like, "Why is my web browser now taking like 10 more seconds to launch the first time?"
Oh, okay.
Right?
That could be
I'm like,
irritating.
"Okay, you
Yeah, very irritating.
10 seconds. What were you going to do with that time? Really?"
I was going to start typing in a URL.
That's 10 seconds. 10 seconds when you first start a computer. 10 seconds is a lot. Although I don't shut my computer down very like I don't turn my computer off very
Well,
much.
I mean, it was the first time that you launched
Right.
Firefox at that time.
You must be first
That
launching
took a
Firefox
longer time.
a lot to be annoyed.
And yeah,
You know,
there are advantages and disadvantages to every, insert name of package
technology.
here.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
currently, app images are like the bane of my existence,
Okay.
simply
Really?
because they aren't. Mostly on 3D printing software that they don't quite bundle everything together
Oh, okay.
in the app image, and it's like, hey, this is missing. Well, that was supposed to be there. That's the point of an app image.
Right. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So,
And there are workarounds, but
what did you do to work around?
it's
Just
like
add some additional packages, whatever, on the host system.
add some additional packages to the host system. Sometimes going back and finding the package, downloading it manually, and like putting it in the right location for the app image to find it. But yeah, when particularly like the last one that bit me was Orca Slicer.
Okay. I don't know that one.
And yeah, so Orca Slicer is a blend between Crucial Slicer and Bamboo Studio.
Okay.
So you can use your Bamboo devices with a third-party slicer kind of thing.
I got you.
And it works with other printers as well. The big thing in the latest release, and I'm kind of like going down the 3D printing rabbit hole here, but the big thing in the latest release is scarf seams.
I'm sorry. Say what? Scarf what?
Scarf seaming.
Okay.
So, with 3D printers, you have seams where you kind of like are going around a perimeter, and then you like have to lift up.
Yep.
And that's a seam, and you can do things to mitigate that seam. And one of the latest technologies, or latest thoughts, was to do a scarf seam, which is kind of like almost doing a vase mode on the outside perimeter. So it's finding a point where it starts and it kind of ramps up slowly and then kind of comes around and finishes the seam. So it's less visible is the end result.
Interesting. So, okay, I see scarf joint seams. I got it. I see it. I just looked that up.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and if you watch, it's really interesting. Maybe it's just me, but um, I like watched my 3D printer, and it's like, oh, I can see it doing it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So they have app images, and yeah, it says March 30th is the last one that came out. The version
Yeah.
2 of the Orca Slicer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, but app images, like I said, they seem to miss the mark, at least on the 3D printing side of slicers, most of the time.
So Adam Grubb says, I've definitely grown tired of Windows 11's antics. I wonder what he means by antics. For me, Linux is so close to replacement, but not quite there. Soon, very soon. So I'm curious what he means by antics. And then what's not ready with Linux. I mean, I can see some things that are not, I don't know. I think my attitude's been, I trade one pain for another with operating systems. If that makes any sense. So there's certain pains that I have when using Windows, and the pains I have with other operating systems are just different. If that makes any sense. So, like, when I use a Mac, this is just me. This is a me problem. I'm not blaming anybody else. Maybe Apple. I feel very constrained, although a little bit better now they have a dark mode in the in Mac OS, and that's better. But but I don't. The last Mac I used, I absolutely hated the keyboard. I guess Adam Grubbs did say that the newer Mac. Yeah, okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, you can have an external keyboard. I got it, but I use laptops. The last Apple keyboard I used was terrible. It was the Butterfly, but but I guess the new ones are a lot better. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I pretty much. Zoe Ronan says Linux pain is gentler. I suppose. You're going into it knowing you're going to have some pain and not being surprised. Maybe I think that's the difference.
Well, that's why I use multiple operating systems to learn the pain now.
Right. So I don't know. And then let's see here. White Chocolate says I use Antix OS, so yes, I know. And Pamela says agreed. I like snaps, so I installed Snapd and Flatpak on my Gentoo machines, and they worked and integrated very well. I do like that it's my own decision to install them, though. Yeah, I agree. And the fact that Pamela is using Gentoo suggests that Pamela likes pain. So, there we go. And then, yeah. And Pamela says, is it antics or antics? Spelling is important. Yeah. Linux pain is gentler. Yeah, Leah says, Butterfly is objectively bad. The new ones are very, very nice. Very, very, two varies. So now if there are three varies, that would mean something more. So my question, Leo, is I would put the framework keyboard somewhere toward the top tier of keyboards I've used on laptops. Not the best, but somewhere. But as far as new laptops, I'd probably put it my preferred, I would say. So I wonder how the new Apple laptop keyboards rate against the framework, because that's pretty much the benchmark I use at this point when it comes to rating laptop keyboards. So like Lenovo, not so great anymore.
I haven't used the laptop. Well, I mean, I've got the laptops over here, but they're all older versions. I think the newest one I have over there is the MacBook Pro. That's a 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I like the keyboard on that one just fine, but I haven't used a modern laptop, so I couldn't honestly say. I mean, 9 out of 10 times, I usually, if I'm using the laptop for an extended period of time, I put an external keyboard on it anyway.
Right. Right.
Ooh, stink pads. Yep.
So Leo says, agreed, Nate. Framework is even better than ThinkPads. Framework is only a half step down from the Mac, in my opinion. Oh wow, that's pretty impressive, because I would consider if Mac stepped up the game. I think was it Adam that said like he blames somebody at Apple for the stinky things. I don't know. Who knows?
And of course, it's also subject to your personal preferences.
Right. So I'm curious, like on Sean and Jinda, how many machines do you have around you? Because years ago, I basically had one machine that I used all the time, and then I've added machines because I want it for a specific function. So I'm curious, Jinda, your main machine you're using now, I don't know if that's you use that all the time, or do you have others that you use?
Yeah, I usually use this one, but I also have a laptop that I use occasionally. But the Raspberry Pi, I think there's 3 or 4 of them actually laying around
Okay.
here somewhere.
Nice.
I use those a lot to try dumb things out for fun, to try to learn something.
Well, they're pretty brilliant for that, really.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
Raspberry
for
Pis.
learning, they're great, and I don't care that I screw them up, and
Right.
I try my best.
I actually gave my Raspberry. I had a Raspberry Pi. I can't remember what model it was. The 8 gig model.
4,
Raspberry
probably.
Pi. Yeah, Raspberry Pi 4, whatever. I got the whole Kano kit thing, and I did all that, and played with it for like 6 months or something like that, and tinkering with different Linux distros on it, and all that good stuff. And then eventually it just sat in the closet. Because I have all this. I didn't really need a Raspberry Pi, but I was
Right.
curious about a Raspberry Pi, just because it's tech and I wanted to see it. And so I ended up giving it to one of the people from the Mac group. I sent it to them for the for whatever they wanted it for. I was like, it's just sitting. It's been sitting in the closet for 2 years now. So here, you want it? I'll send it to you. And I had like a whole. I had 16 SSD cards for SD cards for it rather. Various sizes, anywhere from 128 gigs to down to 16 gigs. So I sent all that out because they all had different versions of Linux on them, so I can just pop, swap,
Right.
hot swap them, so to speak.
Right. Not quite hot,
So-
but warm swap maybe.
Yeah, turn it off and.
Right.
But anywho, yeah, but the Raspberry Pi is for what they are. They, as far as the size and all that good stuff, they are amazing little things.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you could use them to protect your network and all that stuff. You can take away ads and all that good stuff, and
Pi-hole.
AdSense and
Mhm.
Pi-hole,
AdSense, yeah.
AdSense, yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
It is.
Love it.
This is a total tangent now, but I was just thinking about this yesterday, so now I have to bring it up because you said Raspberry Pi. If you have a Raspberry Pi 3, either the B or the A, or Raspberry Pi 0 W, somebody created this thing called a RAD expansion for the Commodore 64. You can utilize the power of the Pi along with your Commodore 64, which I don't know if it makes it a Commodore 64 anymore. I didn't know what to think about it. But it will. You can have it process and pipe the graphics data right through into the VIC and then output through that. So I think that's pretty cool.
It's definitely nifty.
I don't know. I think I want to. You have to build them though. They're not. It's like a kind of a kit. So they'd be perfect to do on a Sunday. I think. You know what I mean?
Well, yep. On Dave's stream doing all the
Mhm.
soldering. Yep.
Yeah. I think that just may have to happen. But anyway. So I was thinking about this machines thing. So the reason I brought that up. Well, Sean, how many do you have?
I have 3,
You have 3?
and I have 3 machines that are currently like in the house, and then what I did was I replaced a bunch of the Raspberry Pis I had around with a laptop. So I have like a small storage bin full of Raspberry Pis.
Oh wow.
That, well, not really big, but kind of like a small container.
Mhm.
That I simply decided to retire because I was tired of like updating everything on all the Raspberry Pis one by one, and all that functionality just went to a laptop, which overall, when the screen is off, and just sitting there doing its thing is drawing less power than all the Raspberry Pis that were in the house. So
I got you.
less maintenance, and less power, all good stuff. So
That makes sense. That's interesting. Like, I wonder what the tipping point is on that. So how many would you say that Raspberry Pis you replaced with a single laptop? And what is that laptop, like the spec wise?
so I think it was like 3 or 4 Raspberry Pis doing various things, mostly like 3D printing stuff.
Oh, okay.
Um, and the laptop is an Asus something or other. It's kind of a low end, 17-inch Asus laptop that I got during COVID.
Oh, okay.
Not that I had COVID,
Cool.
but during the COVID time.
So when you got the COVID during
fun.
the COVID time? When
No,
the Rona,
I didn't get COVID.
I
Didn't get COVID, but
we didn't talk about your
the
medical
prices
information.
were.
That's a HIPAA.
Yeah.
It's a HIPAA thing. We would.
Oh, okay. But true.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, I basically I had my laptop die suddenly, and that was like the only system I had at the time.
So your laptop got the Rona.
And I rushed out, and this was like the only thing in stock, and I was like, I'll take it.
Yep.
Right.
And
was
then,
working for
and then after that, I built a desktop to use as a main system, since I really wasn't using the laptop as a laptop. I was using it as a desktop.
Yep.
And now the laptop is kind of secondary, and I have an old Optex something or other, which is like a Core 2 quad, which is running a laser engraver in,
that's really
another
cool.
room.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely remember the Rona days as far as laptops go. At the time, I was I'm a senior advisor for Bank of America on their enterprise desk, and when we made the move to, we had to make the move to work from home,
Yep.
because nobody could work in the office, and there were no computers.
Oh yeah.
They cleared out, because you know how big Bank of America is.
Mhm.
So they cleaned out, HP based, all the other companies doing it too, whatever. So we ended up there was no like Windows machines, I should say. So they ended up having to go to the good old Chromebooks, until they get people, the computer companies are to get stuff in stock, and they moved us, since we're IT. They figured, we're gonna be working from home. We can work from, so we went to HVDs, the hosted virtual desktops, instead of having that physical laptop, because I got to use, I just logged in from my personal computer through through their little portal thing, and it's all secure, and went in there, and so I get to work from my own machine, and in a virtual environment. But I mean, when he was saying that that was what was in stock, so that's what he got. I understand. It was slim pickings back in those days.
Yeah.
This is truly a Walmart special laptop.
Yeah, that's what my HP was. The one that went through the fire. It was a $300 laptop.
How much RAM does your your Walmart special have?
Probably.
It has 20 gigs of RAM.
Wow.
not bad.
Simply because I was able to recycle a stick of 16 gig RAM from my previous laptop that didn't die when the computer died into the Walmart special laptop.
So in a way, your old computer that died lives on in a newer machine.
Oh yeah, the RAM still goes. The
Vroom.
SSD that was in there still goes. Everything else is pretty much gone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what some of these Frankensteins is back here. Parts from around the house got thrown together.
Yeah.
Frankenstein's are fun.
It's one of those situations where it's like you're sitting there working on the computer, and all of a sudden everything goes off, and you're going, "That's not a good situation."
It's weird when that
and
happens.
you hit the power button, and nothing. You go through everything that Nate would do, as far as like getting the battery out, changing, making sure that the CMOS has been cleared, so on and so forth, and just like no signs of life whatsoever.
Yeah, that's
That's never a good feeling though.
Yeah,
it's
and
kind of
you're
bummer.
like, it was bad because it was like it was a gaming laptop.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, that hurt.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. So then my follow-up question to that is, how many machines do you have that if one of those were to go down, like become non-functional, would be highly inconvenient or worse?
For me, honestly, it'd probably be just well, there's so many I could just go, to any machine. But if my main machine here were to go down, I mean, I
Like
would
like
be sad.
I'm curious to know, like, what is the circle of machines that you have that would be, if any of these, some of these machines, if they go down, not a big deal. I'll get to it when I get to it. But if one of these machines goes down, I have a problem with one of these machines. Now I have problems.
I honestly don't have. Honestly, if one of my machines went down, I just moved to another, because
Okay.
most of my stuff is backed up onto that machine there. So if
Right.
that went down, I'd lose a lot of. If that went down, I would have to move the hard drives out of it, and into another system so that I could access my files. But this is my file server, so it has all the files, movies, and that kind of stuff stored on it.
Hmm.
So if that went down, then that might that would be a sad for a few minutes until I moved to do something else. Um, and like my main system, if that goes down, I just go to the Mac
Right.
because I don't do any like fancy game. Like I can play World of Warcraft on the M1 Mac Mini. I've done it. And it works fine.
Hmm.
I can surf the web. I can yada yada yada. So for me, there's no real one system. If it goes down, it's it's I lose everything or anything like that because yeah, it's all backed up 2 or 3 places anyway.
I think it's a question of how many components in your main system go down at the same time.
Sure. So it's like what I mean is, let's say, because like if my framework, which is my primary mobile system, if that goes down, I am immediately inconvenienced work-wise. So I have to do some cheetah flips to get the machine, which I do have, like they're synced up between the two. Well, actually, it's synced up with a few machines, but they're synced up between these two machines, so that if I do lose one, I can be spun up pretty quick with the other. And so if the framework goes down, I damage the framework, I'm kind of in a pickle, right? Now, if I lose this desktop, I'm also in a pickle because of Linux Saloon and a few other things that this machine, I prefer to work on this machine for specific things. But like if my kitchen system goes down, that's on the periphery, I'd be inconvenienced, but I wouldn't be, okay, I'd probably very quickly work on it to get something going or fixed or whatever. Depends on what goes wrong with it. But I'm curious to know, like, how many machines how many machines are in that core group that if one of those goes down, I have a problem. Like my server goes down, I have a problem. Although I can function without it because I have alternatives. Things are backed up to other not really a server necessarily, but I have other things backed up. So I'm just curious as to what that number would be. So like Steve Anderson, he says, I have 4 PCs and a Pi. So my question for him is like, so how many of those PCs are, let's say, mission critical PCs that you have? The Pi 4 might be mission critical. I don't know. If I lose my Raspberry Pi, which is my Pi-hole activity, that's a mission critical machine. I can function without it, but my internet would be greatly degraded. As if it can get much more degraded than it is now. I mean, we lost it a little bit ago.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like with me, like that server went down. Yes, I would lose access to all the files, but I do have everything backed up to an 8 terabyte external drive that's connected to it as well. So when I move the files over there to that machine, I move them right to the 8 terabyte machine. So I can just unplug that hard drive and move it to another machine. So I still have, it'd be a slower access because it's an external, but I still have access to anything that's any like documents like Excel spreadsheets or whatever else that I use for finances or whatever. I mean, I will still have access to it. So I don't have any mission critical, because if I do, if I right now I'm currently not working, um, but I do have a potential. I do have a job interview on Monday. Hoo-hoo. But when I work,
That's exciting.
I keep everything separate. The work will send me a work laptop, and I only do work stuff on that work because I work from home. So so that way I would work on work on the work laptop, and then if I want to piddly putz around, I'll do it on my personal machine. So yeah.
So the nature of what I do for work, I'm essentially on call 24 hours a day. So I don't want to carry two machines with me, so I carry one.
Mm-hmm.
So
We'll see. I don't leave the house, so I don't have to that much, other than like grocery shopping. Occasionally, go play Magic the Gathering, go to the beer store, that type of thing.
I gotcha.
So hence, I working from home. So I don't. My job, at least the ones I've had thus far, haven't required any traveling. Even though they still give me a laptop, and I'm just like, why don't you just give me like a Nook or something? That's something I can hook up more monitors to and stuff.
All right.
Anyway,
when it comes to my machines, the main one back there, that's pretty much the one that I do most of my work on. Even if that thing were to go down, most of my important, sensitive information files, data, and everything is usually backed up to basically a private GitLab that I use for storage. So if that thing were to go down, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, this computer, right, that computer over there, I got that in 2017. It's approaching the 10-year mark. I know at some point it's gonna die anyway, and I'm pretty much prepared.
Yeah, see, I don't think I'm fully prepared if something goes down. I would function for sure, but I'm not fully prepared if my main machine goes down. I guess is where it comes to for me. So like in my not here, I'm not going to count this area space back here because there's more computers here than I can swing a dead cat at.
Ooh, sorry, Jason.
Oh, I apologize. That was probably offensive. Um, there's so in my my bedroom actually I've decided to maximize my space. I got rid of some like a dresser, and I got a stand-up desk, and I put some pictures on Telegram. But I have my main where I do my work when I work from home. That tends to be my main workspace here. There, I have one over here as well. So depending on if I want to work in here or over there, I can travel, right? But I did, instead of putting a keyboard and mouse in the keyboard tray, I put a Commodore 64, an actual Commodore 64 with a mouse. I use a Commodore OS, which is slightly more useful than Windows 11 in my opinion. Not true. That's hyperbole. But those are the only two systems I have on my desk right now. So, what's that?
It's probably more secure than the Windows 11 system.
Well, it might be. I don't know if it's all that much more secure, because if I got on the internet with it, it would be. It's not connected to any critical data, so I don't think you can hurt anything.
Well, it's also security through obscurity. So
Right.
How many hacks have there been for a Commodore 64 system in the last 10 years?
Probably not many. Although people are constantly hacking on it.
That's true, but probably not black hat kind of stuff.
Probably not. I think my next course of action for the Commodore 64 is I want to be able to log into a terminal essentially with it, like just a Linux terminal, like a jump machine of sorts, and then be able to utilize modern resources through it. So I would have a terminal readout of something, so I could actually hack on it for specific, work functions. Although there'll be some missing keys for sure. Like I don't know where there's no pipe and there's no, maybe it wouldn't be very handy because of the keyboard. I don't know, but it's something I think about. I would love to be able to somehow use it still for modern tasks.
I would imagine there's some sort of terminal emulator for a Commodore that you can use.
I'm sure there is. I can do IRC chat with it, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could do,
But I remember, I remember, like running a bulletin board system off of a Commodore 64, which is essentially,
it's a
you
terminal.
know, this terminal. So
Mhm.
there
Yeah,
has to be something.
there has to be. Yeah, I've looked in the past. I haven't looked recently, but since I just hooked it back up in my new layout, I had it hooked up before, but I really wasn't using it because the way it was hooked up. So my new layout that I have, it's very easy. Can I turn it on and start using it? I do have a VGA out on my Commodore 64, so I'm cheating a little bit. For what it's worth.
There are a lot of modern hacks to Commodore 64s that allow them to integrate with modern hardware.
I like that.
Yeah.
You
Cool
always have
stuff.
to.
Wish
Yeah,
I still had mine, but it's long gone.
that makes me sad.
Makes me sad too.
So, for your workspace that you use for yourself, speaking of workspace, what do you need along with your computer to work happily? I know since Ricky, you do a lot of different development, and Ben, I'm sure does a lot of. Okay, so you have to have a cat on your workspace. I'm not sure I would agree with that. My cat has jumped on my keyboard recently, which really irritated me.
That's why I have all my keyboards have on and off switches.
I put my cat out with the chickens when that happened.
Well, see, I have with my amount of cats, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah. But as far as what are must-haves, as far as like I have a sit-stand desk. That is to me if you're gonna be working from home, that is a must-have is a sit-stand desk so you can you know you keep things the circulation flowing and stuff in the legs
Right.
by standing up and that's what I typically use my breaks for too when I was working is I go out for walks. But anywho, other than that, like I said, I use wireless peripherals. That's my preference. Wireless keyboards and mice. Of course, you got to have another thing I like to have is a good speaker system.
Okay.
I have the Bose speaker system with my main system. Unfortunately, a lot of people like the cable management. Is what they like to keep everything cably neat. I move things around too much, and that I tried cable management. Became more of a pain in the butt when you keep adding computers and taking away computers and doing things and stuff. Yeah, it wasn't my thing. As you can see back there, there's a big old cable mess right there because I just move things around. I just need to unplug a switch and plug everything down to a newer switch I put in. Yada yada yada. But I mean, for me, space. I don't like a cramped desk. Hence the reason I have so many. Like my space right now, I could easily put 4 or 5 keyboards on the desk and the mice and have a cat. And with the cat, I also have because I have the water dish right there and the food dish for this one because she doesn't leave the desk area because she's
Wow.
special. Hence the reason for the potty box and the whole stash of cats blocking her potty box. That's
a lot of cats right there.
This is why this table is here is for her because she has I brought the kittens in the younger cats the 3 younger cats for whatever reason she got petrified of them so she doesn't really leave this area that much she'll run around the room and stuff and all that stuff but she won't actually what's the word I'm looking for leave the room. She won't go upstairs or anything like that because she's afraid she's gonna be chased. But anyway, other than that, I like to have because I have cats, good old fashioned hand sanitizer. Yeah, I got my speaker system, keyboards, mice. Got my storage area around me. Everything's accessible. So I have another thing I have to do with because of cats is this thing right here. This drawers. This is where I keep my keyboards and mice. So at night, when I go to bed, especially with this Logitech keyboard, because the keys caps can be popped off, the cats like to pop them off and then bat them around the room. And this is the $200 keyboard. This is the Logitech G915, and it's a solid aluminum keyboard, very very high quality. Yeah, so I had to start putting them away. Like this keyboard here, which is just a generic Logitech keyboard. Don't have to worry about that. They'll lay on it at night. I just have to make sure it's turned off. Otherwise,
So-
you're gonna hear boom, 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 boom.
So they don't take the keys off of the garbage keyboard. They take the keys off of the nice keyboard.
It's because the nice keyboard has the raised keys.
Okay.
Because it's the clicky keyboard. These are like like the I don't know what the kind of keys they are, but they're just generic whatever keys. And then you got this fancy keyboard where everything is raised up a bit,
Mhm.
and because he's got the RGB and all that,
Right.
rainbow puke on it and stuff. I keep it a solid color, but anywho, yeah. Other than that, that's oh yeah, this is one of my favorite. This is one of the things I have to have too.
Yep. A little Swiffer
Swiffer
duster.
thing with, yep. I keep this desk area clean. Then I have where did I put them? I don't even know where I put them, but I have the disinfectant wipes. So I can keep the desk area clean, as well, because cats. Plus a litter
Right.
box right here. Other than that, that's pretty much what I need as far as my desk setup goes.
When it basically comes to the way my workflow set up in this entire room is basically main machine basically just has a keyboard, a wired keyboard, and a mouse just for simplicity's sake. I use one of my trading card game mats as a mouse pad over there. Right beside it over there is just a monitor I use for my gaming consoles, which are in a little nook right back there. There's two PS3s back there. One's jailbroken, the other one is not, and the other one is a Nintendo Wii that I jailbroke as well. Right over there, like I said earlier, is the Lenovo ThinkPad Edge E545 gaming rig. It has little two external speakers wired hooked up to it. And as for the workflow for the Dell Optiplex, just an external monitor, the tower down there on the floor, wired keyboard, mouse, that's it. I try to be as simple as humanly possible.
Well, that doesn't sound simple to me, but maybe as simply as humanly possible for you. That's fantastic. And Prophetic, welcome. I don't know if you were just going to join to listen or whatnot, but welcome.
Thank you.
And so Pamela says in the chat, says, I travel with Kubuntu Live USB, so I'm always capable of root and rescue super quick. Only had a boot issue once, though. Systemd was hanging up on an unavailable HDD listed in FSTab. Yeah, I think the no wait option in FSTab is probably one of the best little options you can put in there. It's no await or no await or no wait. I can't remember what it is exactly. I know I put that on there on something. But yeah. And also it goes on to say MX Blues are the best. Click away. And I would agree, and I'm sure White Chalk would agree because it says MX in the title, so that's probably going to go well with him. Now we are at time, so I want to do some quick housekeeping real quick. Next week we are doing a distribution challenge, or exploration, not challenge, exploration. So I wasn't sure if anybody had any suggestions for that. Something to try out. I see Prophetic. Is he thinking?
Are we done start that in a little while, Nate? Just a thought.
I'm sorry, huh? What?
Hold on.
Did you fall asleep?
Was having a mini cinnamon roll.
Oh, okay. No, it's all good.
Well, I was thinking, have we done stock Debian a little bit or no?
We did. I think it was we did Bookworm.
12.
I think we did. Did we do Bookworm? I thought we did.
Yeah.
Eris, where are you? I'm just kidding.
Oh God, I'm trying to think. Have we done Ubuntu in a little while? Maybe.
We haven't done any of the Ubuntu's, I don't believe.
No,
The 2404 versions, yeah. That's just an idea that also popped into my head.
That's a great idea, Ben. Anybody have any objections to maybe trying out some Ubuntu? I see
Yeah, I
code
think that sounds good.
2610 says Asahi with a smiley face.
We don't all have Macs here. What are you talking about?
Yes, I don't have Mac
We
money.
don't have Mac hardware except Ricky
Ubuntu
over
always
there
works.
and
So
Jason.
whatever flavor of Ubuntu you want to try is fair game.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like
I
it.
That sounds
think
like fun.
let's try
Compare and
Ubuntu.
contrast.
I mean, Ubuntu, yeah, because I mean, XFCE, come on.
All right.
Well, in that case, I'm all set. I already got Ubuntu on 2 systems.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
there we
I think
go.
that's a solid idea.
Let's chat. Okay, so then I see Zoe Ronan says Ubuntu Studio. Am I saying that right? Is it Zoe or Zoe?
Zoe, I think.
Zoe.
Zoe. Okay.
Oh.
So I apologize for saying your name wrong.
Yeah.
I had a dog named Zoe once, but she died.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
She was the best. She's a greyhound, retired
Oh,
race dog.
God.
Was the laziest dog ever. A greyhound.
If you
Lazy
ran as
dogs
much as
for the
that dog
win,
did,
man, I
you'd be
gotta
lazy
say.
too.
She ran for she retired after 3 years, and she was never. I got her because I wanted a running buddy, and she was never a good running buddy. She wanted to
She
lie
was
around.
sick of running.
Yeah, but you're a greyhound. It's like saying, I don't know what it's like saying.
Okay, you had to give her a little rabbit to chase, and then she'd go after it.
No,
She
I've
did-
been there before. No, not going anymore.
After the rabbit, yeah. So one time, so I don't like squirrels. She killed a squirrel in my yard, and I was
Oh, boy.
so happy. Like she got it, like and just killed it, and I was so happy that she got it because the squirrels just destroy everything at my old house, and so there's a constant problem to drive the squirrels away. But she thought she was in trouble. I'm like, no, you did good. You actually did what a dog should do, protecting the property. But anyway, I'm for any of those squirrel lovers out there, I apologize for hating your animal, but I do. All right, so great. Ubuntu 2404 for next week. Just a reminder, we do have
yeah.
a Linux Saloon calendar, so you can check that out if you care to. It's on the Googles. It's on the Googles.
Yeah.
And if you have any suggestions,
Given we're doing Ubuntu next week, Nate, Ricky and I will definitely have to show up for that one.
for sure, you're always welcome to show up, Ben.
Oh heck yeah.
It's just as long as you don't.
Miraculously disappear.
Well, you can do that too. As long as you don't verbally admonish me with 4-letter
Oh
expletives.
heavens
that's
no!
all.
Heavens no!
So also, if you have any distro suggestions or application appetizer suggestions or poll ideas, whatever you got, any suggestions whatsoever, you can send them to suggestions at linuxsaloon.com.
Yeah.
And then, or you can tag myself or Eris or somebody, or actually put whatever your suggestion is with like a little hashtag of some kind, just so we can find it and pin it. All right, so now is our community free pour. We have an update, a Storm OS update from Ricky and Ben. The Storm
All right.
OS devs.
You want me to make the announcement, Ben, or do you want to do it?
Ricky can start this one off.
Okay. Okay, here's the lowdown here. So, over the last few days, me and Ben have been talking with some of the fine folks over at the Linux Tube Discord. And we've basically come to a conclusion that basically the path that we were basically setting ourselves on when it comes to making our distro LFS based was pretty much not the right idea
A tall
to
order.
go on. It very tall, because one of the points that the guys brought to me and Ben's attention is, since me and him don't have extensive knowledge of the terminal, since we're not terminal savvy folks here, we don't have that higher up of information in order, to not only fix our own issues, but to fix other people's issues behind the hood, to where if they were to try a potential LFS alpha testing ISO, if you will. So basically, after talking it out with them and talking amongst ourselves, we have decided that we are switching our base. LFS is dead. So the new base we are rebasing StormOS going forward is Lubuntu 24.04.
But there's a catch.
Would you like to tell them what the catch is, Ben?
Yeah, we're not going Unity. We're not going any funny desktop. We're replacing LXQt with XFCE. And there's a very, very, very good reason for that. And that is because neither of us have really messed around with a lot of the other desktops. And so we're going with what we know and what's tried and true the distro that has made it popular over these years, and that's XFCE. It's no offense to anybody else, but
It's the most common desktop environment that most of that me and
right,
Ben have basically done most of our development in, and we're
right,
comfortable in it. We know the layout in it, so we're basically
yeah.
sticking to what we know
Now,
in terms of the main desktop environment. Now, in terms of packages, me and Ben have also decided that it is going to be I wouldn't say completely minimal, but it's going to
no,
be basically minimal to a degree in terms of what you're going to be getting. You will be getting a web browser amongst other things, that's guaranteed.
and that'll
But
probably be Firefox going out of the gate.
exactly. I mean, we were going to go Chromium, but we decided against it because in the past, I mean, me and Ben have had issues with Chromium here and there. Sometimes it
Yeah,
would be fast, sometimes it would be slow, and we were both
yeah.
like, we're not gonna do
We're
that.
not gonna fiddle with that this
We're
time.
gonna go Firefox. That's our default. And I'm gonna pass it to Ben here so he could tell you what other little surprises are gonna be in it.
Yeah. Well, the main apps we're going to include on this, and to answer people's questions as to why we're not going with stock Ubuntu. Well, I've attempted that already, and the problem with it is the fact it comes with Firefox as a snap by default, things like that. And the trouble is that we've I've tried removing snaps out of the gate, and truth be told, going with Lubuntu and swapping it with XFCE is a lot less difficult, right, Ricky?
I mean, XFC is a great desktop environment. I mean, what we're doing this time around with XFCE is we're gonna basically do a little theming with it, all the stuff you would usually expect. But basically, another thing with our distro this time around that I want to bring to you guys' attention is
Yeah.
the main user demographic that we are targeting our distro for is basically the mom and pop user who want an operating system that's going to work out of the box with hardly any bugs, and it'll just basically fit like a glove, basically. Because whereas before, the user demographic that we were targeting was the power user, which basically shot our first attempt in the foot there. So basically targeting the mom and pop user who just wants something that works, that's the demographic that our distro is going for.
What's going to be your differentiation between Ubuntu and yours? And would it be better to go with Ubuntu instead because you already have the XFCE base? You can just do some tweaking on top of that?
Yeah, and we're also we would have gone with something like stock Debian, but the problem was we've decided to include Compiz in our distro because, in my honest opinion, XFCE without the Compiz manager, stuff like that, is good, but it's bland a little bit. Not extremely, but just like without those tweaked fancy effects and that, it's So what we're gonna do is we're gonna include that. And on my hardware, it's not um it's not proper without it really. And
Mhm.
yeah. Leo, we don't just want the cube, but the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of compass effects that to me make XFCE a lot better. And when Ricky and I did our demo video or stream of the what do you call it? The uh Ubuntu Unity 2404 edition, we went through a lot of the demos of Compiz and a VM, and those were some of the reasons why that I did explain in that video that we're including Compiz.
I
So
mean, what he's basically saying is that with XFC plus Compass, it's going to pretty much provide the user some like additional functionalities that they might find cool. Like for instance, if people want the beloved cube, they can get the cube. If they basically want wobbly windows, they can have their wobbly windows. So that's
yeah,
basically essentially why we're doing this.
yeah, to give it a little bit more flair and a bang. Yeah,
Exactly. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much all me and Ben have for you, Nate. So,
yeah,
as for when we're going to have more information, the future is basically looking up from here, and who knows when you're going to get an update from us again, because there's going to be a lot of internal testing that's going to be happening for a while, and we will announce at some point in the near future when we will have an official public alpha ISO.
yeah. Um, if I was to guess, I would say again, the future is nigh, and you'll just have to wait and find out. And hopefully we can do a distro challenge on it, but again, that's probably way the heck down the road. So,
Mm-hmm. So,
but yeah, that's just our little update that we wanted to give you guys, and
yep.
that's where we're at with that one. So, hope you guys enjoyed that little segment, and hopefully soon we'll have that sort of stuff.
Well, I wish you the best on it. I hope it goes well and that you have. I think the big thing is to have fun with your technology. So if this is what brings you joy and fun, then I think that you're doing the right thing, for sure.
Yes.
So
Thanks. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll have something soon, but again, we don't know what the future holds for this one. So,
Exactly.
all right.
well, excellent. So on that, we should probably do last call. It is 2200 hours or 10 o'clock p.m.
Holy cow.
I do. I like military 24-hour clock. Everyone should use
No.
24-hour clock and make life easier for everybody.
No, you're good.
So I don't know if I saw Steve in the chat. I don't know if he's doing a stream tomorrow, but he does Steve's very own live almost every Sunday morning at 8 p.m. 8:30 a.m. Central. So you can check that out on the YouTubes. Linux User Space. It's one of my favorite. Leo from Linux User Space was there in the chat. Is in the chat even now, and I'm not sure what's new in the Linux User Space world, but they did a history of XC, the compression thing that almost broke all of Linux last month, and how to fix open source. It's dropping Monday the 13th. So there we go. Check that out, linuxuserspace.show or lus.sh if you want to keep it nice and short. I'm on a podcast called Linux Out Loud. I just had a release for Wendy. Matt was there. I think it's just, yeah, we just did it release already? I don't know. But Matt was there, and it was good times. It's nice to have him back. Apparently, I didn't cause him a headache this time, so that's good. I have a website called cubiclenate.com. I write things, and people view these things. And the internet's not completely dead because people still visit an obscure website like my own. So there we go. Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network, so check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank you all for your support, either here in the talking to me in the Zoom meeting or on the YouTube stream. I appreciate all of you for watching and sticking around, even you, Steve, for trolling me on whatever it is and telling me that Linux is terrible now because you've joined join the dark side of the force, I guess. But they do have cookies, and they are chocolate chip, so that's good. I want to thank everyone involved in making the Linux open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yas.
Good night, everybody.
My voice cracked.
Sweet.
I know, weird.